I think the biggest thing for me, what separates iQS from anything else is, as you're riding throughout the day, you're riding in a lot of different conditions, whether it be the type of terrain you're riding in or the type of snow you're riding in, and to be able to adapt your sled to those conditions with a push of a button is huge. For example, my type of riding, I've got a 6-mile bumpy trail ride in. So I have everything on one, which is soft. So suck up the bumps, super supple. And then once I get out into the terrain that I'm gonna be riding, I can base my decision on where I need my iQS on what I'm gonna be riding that day. And whether it's the type of terrain or the type of snow we have, again, to be able to adjust your sled to the conditions is key. There's no more excuses. So how iQS works is it actually has its own brain box or an ECU. And these are actually real-time changes. There is no time delay. So a lot of the technology has been derived from other power sports that Fox works with, like the Ford Raptor and the Razor and the Dynamics. And so what's really neat is to be able to have, literally a brain on the snowmobile that is, as you press the button, it goes to all 4 shocks and changes the calibration real time. So for mode 1, that's a mode that I find myself in a lot. For example, like when I'm riding my turbo sled and I want to go do, re-entries and wheelies and hopovers and all that stuff, I have everything on 1. And what that does is, with the rear suspension being soft, it allows the front end to lift. And so, that's when I can get all crazy and do those maneuvers. Also, when you're on 1, the front suspension really makes initiating and getting up on edge like butter. It's a lot easier. And then more importantly, when you get up on edge, it helps you maintain edge because it helps absorb little imperfections in the hill, old tracks, ruts, anything like that. Mode 2, this is a good happy medium. Mode 2, I run mode 2 when the snow's a little deeper. What's so great about being able to have this adjustability is picture mode 1 being super fast and responsive. Mode 2 is stiffer, which actually slows the reaction of the chassis down a little bit. When the snow gets deep, you can actually override the sled in setting number 1. So I'll go to number 2 and or 3 when the snow gets super deep. Mode 3, this is a really good mode for those guys who love jumping. It's a flip of the button, you go from, nice soft stuff in 1 to, okay, I'm gonna, blip off this rock, or if the trails are super whooped out and you got these big holes, press it on 3 and blitz over the top. Mode 4, this is the go get it done mode. This is what I use when it's time to get the job done to go up the hill. Technical terrain. So it locks out the rear suspension. It puts my front track shock in 1, allowing the sled to get up on top of the snow, and puts my ski shocks in 2, giving me a good, predictable feel to get up the gnarly line. So a lot of you guys see that I love riding turbos, and iQS works exceptionally well on a turbo setup. But one thing is that on a stock sled, it's another way that you can really separate yourself from your buddies. Again, to have the functionality of being able to change from 1 to lockout, it really is the difference between, trying to make a hill and it over transfers and it's trenching a little bit in 1 to literally hitting lockout, being able to get up on top of the snow. And that's what's so key with a stock sled is you have less track speed than a turbo, obviously. So you're trying to benefit by being able to lift or get up on top of the snow. That's where iQS kicks butt on a stock snowmobile. One thing that I think can really change the table for a lot of guys who are contemplating whether I go 155 or 163, with the 155 in iQS, having the lockout option, it's really like almost having a 163. So you get the fun factor of having the 155, but then the functionality of lockout and keeping the skis down like what a 163 would do. So a lot of guys who are kind of on that fence, I like my fun factor of the 55, but on those deep days, I want to be able to go like a 63. An iQS is a perfect setup for that. So one thing that we've had, especially in the Burandt line, is we've had adjustability for a long time. The QS3 switch and adjustable rebound has been something that has been mandatory in all of my lineups shock-wise throughout the years. But what's really cool about iQS, and something that we've never had before, is adjustability of all 4 shocks at one time. And that is something, again, that you can really feel on the snow.